This is the cash perspective. And as I was planning my content out in February, I had said to myself, I'm not gonna talk about Martin Luther King simply because he's so widely known and there's not much more that I could throw out there that maybe you guys hadn't heard at this point. But then I got to thinking, if he's such a radical figure, so much so that they had to get him up out of here, why is he so embraced within the history books and today in mainstream media? We all know Black history has been whitewashed. I don't think that's a debate, and if it is, hop in the comments. Let me hear what the hell you got to say that could contend with that fact. But the question begs, why bother to whitewash the most, at the time of his death, the most hated man in America? Y'all smoked him? Let him rest. All right, y'all, it's February, Black History Month, the shortest month of the year. Do not, under no circumstances, think that that's coincidental. This is the month that the FBI tweets MLK-inspired messages, knowing that they was the same entity that sent him messages urging him to delete himself, went on a massive smear campaign to try to tarnish his legacy and destroy his reputation at the time. This is the month when the Kente cloth-inspired debit cards come out. These fools go jump on them because they marketing them to their blackness and they can't see that. Like it's somehow a symbolism of their blackness when it's really just a symbol of capitalism. I'm gonna show you how today it serves this capitalistic system to pretend that they were always a part of Martin Luther King's legacy. They have boiled down countless speeches, movements, debates, and political assertions to one speech. I mean, to be honest, really one line in one speech.
That we must judge one another by the content of our character and not the color of our skin.
Now, he wanted people to be judged by the character and not by the color of their skin.
On the color of my skin, but on the content of my character.
We should judge our fellow citizens by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin.
Think for 1 second that this is coincidental. See, all of this took place during the Reagan era, the Reagan administration. Yup. Iran-Contra, CIA-sponsored crack epidemic rape. See, he ran on the notion of the Great American Patriot. That was his tagline. And as the Great American Patriot, he wanted to be the one to bridge the gap and assuage America's horrible racist history. You know, become the unifying force between the races in America. All of it sounded good, but it wasn't nothing but political posturing from a bigot. But nonetheless, before any of this could happen, a lot had to change about the way America looked at Martin Luther King. You got to realize this was the mid-'80s, and a lot of 2/3 of America actually still hated the man. He got killed in 1968. So at this point, at least 15 years has lapsed since his assassination. Okay, first thing they had to do was shed that a radical extremist jacket that they had worked so hard to place on Martin Luther King. Pedro Noguera and Robert Cohen, in their book, The Nation, summed up the Reagan years as follows. Reagan opposed every major piece of civil rights legislation adopted by Congress, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and the Fair Housing Act of 1968. As president, Reagan supported the tax breaks for schools that discriminated on the basis of race, opposed the extension of the Voting Rights Act, vetoed the Civil Rights Restoration Act, and decimated the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. When you combine Reagan's political record with his symbolic stance on race issues, his deriding welfare recipients as welfare queens, his employing states' rights rhetorics in the same county where, in 1964, 3 of the most infamous murders of civil rights workers occurred, his initial opposition to establish a national holiday to commemorate Martin Luther King Jr., the Reagan legacy begins to lose much of its luster. So, prior to his presidency, and well into and after his presidency, he showed that he was an overt bigot. He wasn't hiding it. That was his base. His base was the bigots. That's who put him in the office. So if he was such an overtly racist person, why the hell he switched all of a sudden? Why, if he initially opposed Martin Luther King's day being commemorated on a federal level, why was he the president to hop behind such a goal. The focus on I have a dream in public discourse made King ripe for political appropriation. Because of the focus on that particular all-inclusive speech, it made the rest of his speeches obscure as time went on. The public focus on I Have a Dream speech and the simplistic, poetic flow that it had overshadowed what MLK had actually proposed to make sure that the dream came true. And he proposed nothing short of radical change to the societal structure. But all of this was hidden. And because all of this was hidden, this made it easier for Reagan to appropriate his dream. So once Martin Luther King had been hollowed out, he was just a hollow shell now. Now they can come in and lay the groundworks for Reagonomics. Reagonomics in a nutshell essentially funnel money from the pockets of the poor to the rich. And this is what was going on in this country through the Reagan era all the way well into the first Bush era. See, by providing this particular image of MLK, they were able to turn him into some weird conservative libertarian type of character that opposed big government. You know, the big government that took into account people's race to restore the historical atrocities that happened to them. You know, that one group of, that history that made one group of people materially worse off than another group of people, that enslaved and colonized them. They made him into someone who hated redistribution. He would have definitely wanted this free capitalistic society that we live in today. You know, the free market society that the chattel slavery and the colonial system was born from. Clearly, that was bullshit. You know, they tried to make it seem like he wouldn't want a race-conscious system of justice. That doesn't sound very content of your character. The only thing is, all that is bullshit, because he definitely would have wanted a society where the playing field was even. Stop letting these people treat you as a sheep by feeding you whatever they want to feed you in terms of knowledge, and you just running with it. Think critically, people, because we suffering out here right now. We losing out here right now. So anyway, get in the comments. Let me know what you think about the MLK situation. Anybody else out there that may have been whitewashed that you guys want me to speak about, I definitely touch on those subjects. You know why? Because it's February and we going in a whole fucking month. Now you want to know.